Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Tonight I have for you an easy card layout. This one is one that I got the idea from a friend. She's a fellow demonstrator, and that's one of the things I love the best about Stampin' Up is we get to all share lots of ideas. So this is from MJ's Shady Inkers. I'm calling it the 2 DSP accent square layout. Just for lack of anything better, I tend to call things the quick and easy layout all the time, so I have to specify a little bit. So this one is super easy. It is a panel of designer series paper with 2 accent squares and a little bit of a sentiment or label of some kind on the front to divide the two. Really easy to mass produce, great for any occasion, and perfect for scraps of designer series paper that you might have laying around. Sometimes you get strips that are narrow that might be perfect for this, so it's a great way to use them up. And I'll tell you, this design was so easy, I actually made all the cards you're gonna see all in one day. So it's about 18 cards and really easy peasy. So let's go ahead and get started and I'll show you how to make it. So to start with, I am taking a card base that is basic beige. This is one of our new colors. Did not join any of the color families, but it is one of our new basics to go with basic white, basic black, basic gray, and very vanilla, which I think is still called very vanilla. It does look a little greeny. I'm gonna blame my lighting. It is beige. Let me find here. You can see the difference with the white envelope. So it probably does have green undertones in it, but it's also partly my horrendous lighting in my studio. So basic beige, 5.5 by 8.5, scored down the middle. So the front of the card is 4 1/4. We are going to take a piece of designer series paper that is 3 1/4 inches wide by 5 1/4 inches tall. So it does not fill out the entire front of the card base. It is going to leave a border on each side. Now the paper I am using today is from the Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper set. So it's this set right here. The stamp set I'm using is actually not the coordinating bundle, but it does coordinate nonetheless. So I just wanted to give you a sneak peek of that. I almost hate to put glue on the back of this because this paper is so pretty. But that is why I have become a paper hoarder, because I don't like to use my pretty paper. So I bit the bullet and I used my paper. So this just gets centered on the front of the card, more narrow border on the top and the bottom than the sides. Next, we need 2 squares of designer series paper that are 1 3/4 inches square. Now my recommendation is to either use a more solid background piece with 2 bright or busy squares, or flip it and use your busy paper on the back with 2 more neutral squares. I'm going to show you an abundance of samples here shortly, so you can see lots of different ideas that you can do. But 2 squares, and there's 2 trains of thought here with the design. You can either glue them on and then arrange your middle, or you could glue your middle piece on and pop it on dimensionals and then work your paper in around it and work kind of out from the center. Totally up to you what you want to do. I did both. Really no rhyme or reason or one way better than the other, just total comfort on your part. So I'm going to be bold again, and I'm going to tape these down. No special adhesive needed for this card, just whatever your favorite is. I'm using Stamp & Seal Plus because I'm out of refills for my regular Stamp & Seal. And so I'm going to put 1 square up on the left side, kind of towards the top. I'm trying to move it up a little bit. I think, drifting towards the bottom as I'm working on these samples. And then I'm going to put the other one down towards the right, and I'm just going to angle them kind of opposite each other, just like that. You can flip it and have 1 here and 1 here, play around, do whatever makes your heart happy. This is just kind of a springboard for your creativity to get started. All right, so we're gonna get to our stamping next. And, sorry, my envelope. I moved my envelope, so it was trying to run away on me. I have here, for this card, I'm using a scrap that is 1/2 inch tall. It is just slightly less than 3 inches, because this one is 3 inches, and it's slightly larger than 1/2 inch. It's not 3/4, it's another 1/8 of an inch. I'm not good at math when you get into fractions that small. Fractions were my kryptonite in math class, I gotta tell you. So I love that I have rulers that mark that all out for me. Okay, so the stamp sets I am using today are Comforting Thoughts, which is an online exclusive. Lots of different sentiments in here, some that you don't normally see, like Cancer Sucks. I'm going to use the I'm So Sorry, and I have it paired with the I Don't Have All the Right Words to Say. So I'm kind of thinking more along the lines of a sympathy. Some of the other ones you're going to see are more along the lines of get well cards, but definitely some different directions you can go with this. And then for an accent, I am using this stamp from the Thoughtful Wishes set. So I'm going to start with that I'm So Sorry in Night of Navy ink. I am going to stamp it as close to the middle, and normally I would use my Stampin' Pierce mat. I did not do that today. I'm trying to be a little bit brave there. We'll do it again here for the inside. I'm going to stick with navy for that, for the verbiage inside. There we go. And then for an accent on the inside and the envelope, I'm going to, I apologize for the bright green scrap paper. It was the only thing within camera reach. I forgot I needed a piece of scrap. Basic beige ink. And accent on the corner like that. And then of course have to have that envelope coordinating as well. So there we go. I'm going to close this up. I did drop a card base and an ink pad earlier, so don't want to do that again, especially with witnesses. Okay, so envelope is done. The inside, I'm simply going to put a little adhesive on. Again, nothing special. This gets layered on the inside. And then I'm going to layer my sentiment, the white strip of the sentiment on my, this is not Night of Navy, this is Misty Moonlight. Okay, so that is all set. So what I'm gonna do now is layer this with some dimensionals. Once the backing comes off, I'm just kind of going to bridge the gap between the two squares, like so. Add a little bling. I have some new bling. These are the Pecan Pie and Clear Ribboned Adhesive Back Dots. They have, I don't know if this will come across on camera, but they have a very small, kind of like crosshatch design. I think you can kind of sort of see it a little bit. It's more subtle in the Pecan Pie ones, but I'm kind of in love with these. I broke them out for the first time today. Was very pleased with how they went with this card. So I am just going to add a couple, dimensional backings everywhere, to my card here. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool to help me lift them, otherwise they get stuck on my fingernails and usually flung across the room trying to get them off. One more down like so. Okay, so quick and easy, as you can see, card and envelope ready to go. So now I have lots of other samples to show you. One thing I thought was great about this technique is that you can mix and match. And I like this paper so much I couldn't decide which side I wanted to go up or down. So I reversed it and did the same layout, but flipping the papers over. So here I have my busy background paper. with the more subtle kind of canvas look. And I didn't like how plain the canvas squares looked, so I actually stamped tone on tone with the basic beige. You can see that there, I think, on camera. So just a different look to the card. And here I added my accents to the side of the banner. I used some other paper from the set as well, and I changed up the piece that I used to bridge the gap between the squares. Here I tapered my edges and just used 2 layers there. So you can see you're not stuck with this layout. You can create to your heart's content. And if you're thinking, okay, this is all right, but it's a little simple, which is what I was thinking when I got started, embellish. Because here's one, it's the same layout, but look how dressed up this one is. And the only thing I did different was I changed my banner a little bit and then added this die cut and a bow and a few extra gems. But I really like this one and how it came together. There's a peek at the inside of that one. All right, now we're going to step away from those more muted colors, and I'm going to show you the 2 cards I started with when I made this design. Sometimes I experiment before I actually pick out my demos. So here, nice bright colorful, these are some of our new in colors. And I just wanted you to see here, this is the same paper, but look how different it looks on the Coastal Cabana background versus the Petunia Pop background. Really different. The pretty and pink did not really work with this, but it worked very nicely with this, with the kind of sherbirty colors. So you can keep it as simple as this, or you can dress it up like this one. So have fun with this. All right, so I stepped back into that more muted look. One thing I did with these next cards is I expanded the width of the panel on the front. I'm used to doing 5 1/4 by 4, so I think I actually cut the paper that way by accident and then thought, okay, well, I'm gonna use it anyway. So here, more of a full panel as opposed to one with the wider borders on the sides. And just a simple banner across the front. This is part of an online exclusive. I think it's called Happy Thoughts or Celebrating Happy. But just has these lovely die-cut banners that coordinate with that stamp set. And then here, more of a sympathy card or encouragement card, all using those comforting thoughts stamp sets or sentiments. All right, so here back to that wildflower paper. This one I really experimented with the pieces in the middle. I was actually just picking up scraps that I had on my table to do this one. Changed up my bling a little more subtle to pull in the colors. Here's another one just showing you can use anything you like for that middle section. Here I used a label, changed up my bling again, but the basics of the card are the same. Now, if you're thinking, well, I don't have a whole lot of designer series paper, that's okay. Use cardstock. Here I embossed some cardstock and just used my print squares. And again, expanded the panel here on the front. You could always use stamped cardstock or even plain cardstock. It doesn't have to be big and fancy. If you don't have an embossing machine, you do still have options. Here again, just showing you the difference in the cards when I simply changed the color of my card base. This one's Wild Wheat, this is Early Espresso. And that Heartfelt Hexagon Punch, which is a favorite of mine. And I wasn't sure I could do it, but I put my thinking cap on and I was actually able to change the orientation on this card. So here's one where I used the busier background piece, but I used cardstock embossed squares for my accents. Added some leaf punch outs, and there you go. And then last but not least, I mentioned how these layouts are just kind of designed to stir your creativity. And so these next ones I'm going to show you are very different. But we have a new suite of products coming out this fall in our holiday catalog. And so this card was born. So no squares, but I opted for hearts instead, with a retired punch pack. And then I was gonna make 2 of these cards, but I goofed and I cut my designer series paper with the scallop punch, and then thought, well, that's silly. Now what are you going to do? Because I wasn't going to cover this beautiful paper with a solid heart. So this card was born. So very different, but again, just using kind of accents to create cards. So these are anniversary cards, and it's definitely a Christmassy sweet. The set is called Wintry Nests, but it's great for any time of year because the paper is not all Christmassy. Obviously here with Pretty Peacock and Lost Lagoon, it pulls in some of the cooler colors maybe for fall or even for spring. I'm all about birds any time of year. And then one last card right there to finish out just what I made today, just using that layout as a springboard to get those juices flowing. All right, so that is the end of our samples. I hope you enjoyed that quick and easy layout using just a couple of pieces of designer series paper and some squares to make a beautiful card. So my thanks to MJ for a great design. I wasn't sure where I was going when I started. I never anticipated having 18 cards by the time I was finished, but I'm very glad to have some new additions to my stash. So if you are new here to the page, thank you so much for checking out the channel. You can subscribe. I'd love to have you here, and that notification bell you can click if you're interested in getting a little notification when a new video is posted. You can also find me over on Facebook as The Faithful Stamper. I'd love to have you there as part of that community, and I share a lot more about specials that Stampin' Up! Has going on, incentives when new catalogs come out and that kind of thing. You can check that out online, and if you'd like a paper copy of the catalog, please feel free to reach out to me if you don't already have a demonstrator you're working with, and I'm happy to get one to you. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and happy crafting.